These two grown men had never seen The Simpsons. How the fuck's that even happen? They're two grown men on a mission now, so buckle up and just strap in.
Whose bed have your boots been under? Whose heart did you steal, I wonder? This time did it feel like thunder, baby?
These two grown men had never seen The Simpsons. It's America's Barley Basket.
Welcome, everyone, to America's Barley Basket. I am your host, Nathan Fulsbuck, and alongside me is my co-host and co-life partner, Marlin Wells.
Hello, Nathan.
Hello, Marlin.
How are you, bud?
You know what? Questionable early, but I'm in prime podcast mode. I have.
Are ya?
Got a nice loose-fitting T-shirt. I got some gigantic basketball shorts on. I'm freshly powdered from the men's room. So I'm ready to go. Yeah,
the boys are dusted.
We're gonna get real right off the bat. When you have to do number one while wearing basketball shorts or perhaps sweatpants, something with an elastic band. Mm-hmm. Well, no, it has to be basketball shorts. Pardon me. How do you go about it? Do you pull them down at all, or do you just kind of reach in and flop all your bits out and do it that way?
Yeah, no, I do like the hand catfishing. I just reach in and grab it all and pull it up out over the top is how I roll.
I did it that way for years, but then a mutual friend of ours named Josh Dulay showed me. He didn't physically show me. Maybe he did. Probably had a few drinks that night. But I reach with one hand, kind of fish hook my underwear and short leg, pull them up, and then just relieve myself through the up-pulled pant leg.
Wait, so it's down and out the side?
Yeah. It is no more double dribbles in your basketball shorts, man. It is a game changer.
That's a penalty. That's a foul. Double dribble.
I would triple and quadruple dribble sometimes. It's like I gotta throw these basketball shorts away. Boil them or something. Fire up the backyard kettle.
Oh, God.
What I want to say, you're never too old. You got to keep learning your whole life.
Always, yeah. If you stop learning, that's when you start dying. So
Exactly.
I'm glad you're still finding yourself enlightened.
I keep getting better and better.
And knowing our friend Josh Dulay, I imagine that was a demonstration given in person.
Yeah,
I have to assume.
It's very emotional. I'm not going to say in what way, but it's very emotional.
Just two healthy boys learning.
Yeah, exactly. One boy leading another boy by the hand into a men's room to teach him things. It felt natural, and it was natural.
Let me show you a trick, Nathan.
Yeah. You're going to really flip. This is something else. Okay, first, expose your genitals.
Oh, my God. Well, I will give your method a try.
Yeah, report back for episode 7.
The next time. Yep, next time. Stay tuned for these hot basketball dribble takes.
As soon as you're done, I want you to lie down in bed and grab your journal and just free write. What's your body telling you? Did it feel natural? Because if it doesn't, don't do it. Keep catfishing.
Right from the heart. Don't think, just write. Do that writing exercise where you don't let the pen leave the paper. Just go.
Well,
just do it.
Oh, yeah, and also this podcast is sometimes about The Simpsons.
Oh, for sure. On occasion.
Every once in a while we'll bring it up.
Not always about advanced urination techniques.
Yeah. We are doing episodes 13 through 17 of Season 2 tonight.
Yeah. After this, we will only have one more batch of Season 2 episodes left. So after this, there's only 5 left in Season 2, and then we're on to 3.
That's crazy.
Which is exciting. So you want to jump in? Should we do this?
Let's do it.
All right, gang. Episode 13 of Season 2 entitled Homer versus Lisa and the Eighth Commandment. Got a churchy one this time around. Starts off with a strange aside of Mount Sinai. Homer is a thief, and there's a guy building golden calves, and there's an adulterer, and then Moses comes down and says, "Knock all that shit off," and then it cuts to present day. So just a fun goof for the fellas in the beginning, I guess.
They're just horsing around, playing to themselves.
We cut back to Springfield, and Homer is minding his own business when suddenly, next door, Flanders is flipping the fuck out on the cable guy, and they're having an argument, and Flanders tells him to go on, get out of here, and Homer asks what that was all about, and Flanders, being the churchy fella that he is appalled that the cable guy offered to get him stolen cable for $50, and Homer says, "Oh yeah, no, awful stuff out here. Anyway, I gotta go." And so he runs and gets a hold of the cable guy, and the cable guy hooks Homer up with illegal cable, pirated cable.
Do you have cable right now, Marlin? Like you yourself?
Nope, I'm strictly running on the apps.
It's crazy, like how irrelevant cable has become.
Right? Yeah, I don't miss it. I used to, I haven't had, quote unquote, regular TV since I had satellite in, I'm going to say 2012-ish.
Yeah, that's about it for me, too. And when I was, right out of high school, even the most, run-down college kid flop house had cable. Because that was it. There's no other options. You had to have cable. You may as well not even own a TV. Now it's it's quaint. It's we're in a hotel. We can watch afternoon programming on TBS just to see what it's like nowadays.
What are they showing? Is it more Family Guy? I bet it's more Family
Exactly.
Guy.
It's a very safe bet.
Yeah, when we do comedy gigs, or back when that was still a thing that happened, when the world hadn't ended yet, you would occasionally get a hotel stay and be like, "Oh, let's check this out. Ooh, the TV Guide channel.
Yeah,
what's happening here?" Which seems like a million years ago at this point.
You know what? I don't want to sound like a diva, but I miss things. Remember things, Marlin?
Yes.
Doing things.
I also miss events and activities.
Yeah, I do too.
I want to go tell jokes, goddammit.
Papa Donnie's hard at work in the lab getting us vaccines. So
any day now. We'll be out there telling goofs to 24 bored people in the middle of nowhere any day now.
Yeah, they're not going to get any of the references, but they're happy to be out of their houses.
Yeah,
and that's
we'll
what
be
counts.
Slamming $3 Miller Lights and cuddling because we can only get one room.
Whatever it takes to not look directly into the void. That's all that matters in the end.
So the Simpsons are getting their pirated cable, and they show Homer sit through a 24-hour cycle of never leaving the television. He loves it. The whole family loves it. Lisa and Marge both a little hesitant of this is kind of stealing, but they all just kind of go with it, and they head to church. The Sunday school is going on, and it's the day they're talking about the 10 Commandments and specifically how to avoid hell. And Bart is super into this hell discussion. At one point, he asks the Sunday school teacher, "Are there pirates in hell?" And she says, "Yes, thousands." And he goes, "Cool."
Yeah. Bart Simpson, possibly the most metal thing on television in television history.
Especially then in 91, for sure.
Early season 2 when he gets in that car accident. "I'm dead. Cool."
Cool, right? But Lisa significantly freaked out about the concept of hell, and she's not into this stolen cable thing anymore because that's stealing, and that's one of the commandments, and so she's freaking out about it. Bart, in the car on the ride home, frankly, just stoked to be able to say the word hell as the young boy's first acceptable curse word, which I can vaguely remember that. I remember being a kid and seeing this thing in the Bible says ass or hell because it's a donkey or hell, and being like, aha, but he's really leaning into it all the way home, just chanting the word hell over and over again because, again, pretty fucking metal.
Do you remember, as a kid, making the conscious decision to start swearing? I totally remember thinking that's okay, 12 years old now.
No, I don't know that I did.
Some of my friends cuss. Am I going to cuss? It would make my mom sad if she heard it, but goddamn it, peer pressure is a bitch. Look, I just sweared. It comes naturally. So fuck this noise. I'm a fucking swearer now. Dumb motherfucker. I'm saying this all to myself on the bus.
Not even out loud, just hyping yourself up in your head.
Looking at my
Who
reflection
I am now.
in the bus window.
Homer's back on the couch watching television, and we get what I think is the first appearance of Phil Hartman's Troy McClure on the television. He's on a paid program advertising a candy that not only whitens but also straightens your teeth, which is a product I'd be on board for.
I do believe we get a Dr. Nick appearance at this point, too.
Yep, where he's part of that infomercial as well. We get another Dr. Nick. You know, I love a good infomercial. God help me, I really do.
It's the kind of thing you don't get now.
Right?
None of us have regular TV.
I remember back when we had satellite TV, my roommate and I used to be watching late night television, and it would always be some like kitchen gadget or some yard invention of some sort. And we would sit and like just pound drinks and watch infomercials all night long and like play games like what do you think the price is gonna be? Oh, I bet it's 4 payments of $29.99, but what's the throw in, because there's always a but wait there's more. What's the but wait there's more gonna be? Oh, I bet it's that set of spatulas they've been using that whole time during this pan commercial, or oh, they're gonna knock a payment off or double your order. And we had a lot of fun. We were real cool guys in our early 20s.
I like with infomercials too, the often the selling point is you get a second one. When it's a kitchen device, you would never need a second one of. Why? Am I going to sharpen 2 knives at once? That sounds terrifying.
What? If you order in the next 10 minutes, you'll get a second air fryer. Fucking what? I don't have the cabinet space.
Look at this, hon. We can boil four hams at once. Never will an army have to wait for boiled hams in the Henderson household. All of our boiled ham dreams came true.
We'll be the ham house for all the end of time.
When my last experience of having cable, like me and my roommates came home from the bar, we had a thing, at least me and one of them would have a thing. It was like, we can't go to bed until a good video comes on CMT. And not like something we love, but just like, oh, that song wasn't offensive to my ears. Plenty of mornings, we'd hear the mail getting delivered. It's like, we got to go to fucking bed, man. We have 6 hours of Bon Jovi mom rock or whatever the subgenre of modern country is.
Maybe we'll get some Alan Jackson video at some point.
Nope.
Jeez, I got to chase that neon rainbow. We got to go to bed.
Exactly. That neon rainbow rarely came true. We would go to bed sad.
Back at the power plant, there's Homer who's talking about getting the fight at his place now that he has cable. So he's telling his buddies, and they're going to come over. And they cut to Burns' office, and Burns has security cameras everywhere, which is obvious, but also has them in the shower room, apparently, which is probably not okay from a litigious standpoint.
You're going to have to explain to me, Marlin, why a bunch of guys that sit in front of monitors all day need to take a group fucking shower before they go home. It's like they're out running laps or doing two-a-days. Nope. Casually sitting in an ergonomic office chair.
Yeah, they're not running the steps. Yeah. They're operating buttons and eating donuts.
Yeah.
I hadn't considered that, but yeah, it's very dumb that they have a big group shower. But Burns is watching, and he decides he wants to go to Homer's to watch the fight too, just because he wants some manner of camaraderie. Because even Smithers is like, you can just buy the fight. Like, there's no reason for you to want to go to an employee's house, but Burns is into it.
And I believe sometime around in this episode is when Bart discovers that they get the adult channels.
Yeah, the Top Hat channel is what their version of the nudie adult channel is. Homer catches him watching it and then is like, promise me you won't watch that stuff again. And then the next time it comes up, Bart has just straight up started selling tickets for all the other kids to come watch the nudie channel.
Is there anything more 90s than a bunch of kids like planning out watching porn in a giant mass group?
together, right? Yeah, that was my thought in that scene. I was like, what are we doing, guys?
Yeah, like, tell that to a 12-year-old now. I mean, don't tell that to a 12-year-old now. I need you to make this podcast work. But in theory, your average 12, it's like, no, man, I'm not gonna hang out. Like, that's honest. The first time I saw a real deal, like, honest to goodness porn, I was like 17 in my friend's basement with 24 of my other friends sitting thigh to thigh, crunched together, like we were going to a baseball game at Fenway Park, and the seats are built for little people. Just none of us trying to keep your breathing at an even keel, no eye contact, and I mean 90 minutes front to back, no pausing, no talking, and then like getting up and shaking hands like it's a goddamn. Like, we just got done with a convention, like, and then it's like just grating your teeth, and now like I'm gonna make it home. I'm not gonna pull over and jerk off. One guy can't cut it. He's driving on the boulevard.
Up on
Remember
the curb.
me! Car bursts in flames. Skylar died doing what he loved.
Jerking off in a moving vehicle.
Yeah. That's how I know. Like, I hang out with so many younger comics, I forget that I'm like their dad's age. It's like, because it's like you guys could just casually look at porn from the second you knew what the internet was. Like, I can't wrap my brain around that. Like, I was lazy enough as a child. Like, the idea of having a device in your house that you can watch people fuck on is mind-blowing.
It's just a peephole to the entirety of the world's bedrooms.
Exactly. My God.
Holy shit. I love the idea of everyone getting up and shaking hands.
Yeah. Like,
well, all right. This was an experience. We will reconvene again.
My buddy got the tape, like his older cousin like died in a skateboarding accident, so he got like a box. Well, we just dismissed that part. Like, oh, there's blank tapes. They're probably porn. Let's investigate. Because before that, again, to the average kid, like if you had a friend that could kind of get something from Cinemax, like I had one friend that he couldn't get images, but he could get the sound good. That's like, it was just nothing. It just looked like a Rorschach test nightmare just flashing on the screen.
But you scrambled channel, yeah.
You could hear people pretend to hump in the background. That was, and that's what it was. It was Cinemax. They were pretending. There was nothing inside of anybody.
What a way to learn you have a real specific kink. I like the sounds of pretend humping.
Yeah. And then some people might get image, but no sound. Just like a loud, like blaring, droning noise. And like,
sure,
they were the lucky ones.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. If you're going to have one or the other, you want the visual, I think.
Yeah.
Because you can set that, then you're the composer. You can score that to anything. Oh, it's the Jaws theme today. Dun.
See, I think I see the difference in us, Marlin. I would prefer the audio as opposed to the visual. Yeah.
I think I'll take the visual.
Yeah, chew on that tonight as you try to sleep.
Yeah, I'll have to add that to the journaling that I'll be doing. Oh God, there's a bit where Homer is just kind of blindly channel surfing, only spending a few seconds on every channel, and one of them that he stops on for a second, you don't see the screen, but you just hear the audio, and it's the lobotomized Itchy and Scratchy. Yeah. Oh, this is good lemonade episode. Yeah. And I love that just because like from that past episode was my favorite part of that whole episode, but B, it means that in canon they kept those in syndication, like they kept running those episodes. They didn't pull them; they just let them keep going. And I appreciate that they didn't try to just wash over that era of Itchy and Scratchy.
And it totally adds up because in 1991, basic cable channels were starved for content because they had no budget. So they would have ran those episodes into the ground.
Oh, for sure. They'd have wrung every penny out of that animation. In the group of boys watching the Top Hat channel, Wendell is there, still looking sickly. I had to make a note that we see Wendell yet again. Gray, sickly Wendell.
Poor Wendell.
It's the the night of the big fight, and everybody starts coming over to Homer's house. There's his buddies from the bar and his buddies from work, and Grandpa and his friend, whose name I think we learn later in a few episodes is named Jasper. They're there, and Mr. Burns shows up, and the cops show up, and Homer's immediately freaked out, but they're like, no, we just want to watch the fight. So
in true shithead fashion, Homer immediately blames Marge when it comes to the cable being stolen. God, he's just the worst.
As soon as the cops show up, he immediately freaks out and is like, oh, it was my wife's idea. My wife stole the cable. It's like, you dick. Way to throw everybody under the bus. They're all around and watching the fight, and they show an interview from one of the fighters, or a package that they're showing about one of the fighters, and he talks about how hard it was being in prison, and Homer takes that to extremes, and it gets in his head that he's going to go to prison for stealing cable, and he joins the rest of the family in the we're not watching stolen cable silent protest out on the lawn, and then the fight ends, and everyone goes home, and Homer, in what is clearly a safety violation of some sort, takes a wire cutter and climbs the telephone pole and is I'm gonna cut the cable, and he cuts one cable and all the lights on one side of the street go off.
Yeah.
That's just good comedy. Yeah. And then he clips another and the rest of the lights go off, and when he clips the third, you get just static on the screen, and then the credits run over the static. I was like, okay, this is good.
That's a nice touch to end. And kind of when they're wrapping up the whole, he realizes it's not right to steal cable, they're discussing cable, and I can't remember if it's Lisa or Marge is rattling off things that are great about cable, just making fun of how poor the quality is. And she mentions Atlanta Braves baseball, which was such a staple of late 80s, early 90s, because Ted Turner owned TBS and he owned the Atlanta Braves. So, hey, we can fill up 4 hours an afternoon showing these god-awful Braves teams. And that phenomenon caused a whole generation of elderly women to become Braves fans. That's a thing.
Because they were the ones who were at home at that time watching TV.
Trapped in air conditioning-less retirement homes, just sweating balls.
Watching the Braves.
Watching Dale Murphy hit a home run in a meaningless 7-2 game. Just die-hard Braves fans. And WGN and the Cubs were the same way. That they had all the rights to that. So, oh man, I'm going to ruin this episode if we don't quit talking about basic cable. So, but I could do another podcast.
Yeah, keep it going.
When we were in the trailer park growing up, my dad was working on the oil rig. So I don't want to brag, Marlin, but we had money for basic cable. Things were good in the Volkswagen household.
I see that.
So I grew up with cable, but then we moved the trailer out of town, and then we didn't have nothing. We had Peasant Vision, 3 channels, maybe 4. Sometimes we could pull ABC if the weather was right. But so cable became the forbidden fruit. So when I'd get to go into town or stay at grandma's, Christ, I would just flip the TV on and not leave until I had to go to the bathroom. I was like, this is the shit. Oh, I miss just the endless... Yeah, it's so safe now. It's giant blocks. Here's 4 hours of some mediocre sitcom. It's they didn't have the right to get shit like that. So, if they had a sitcom, it was something disastrously awful that they would show. Or it's or the worst movies. Oh, my God. Or some good movies. And so would sneak past the goalie somehow. Oh, man, USA Up All Night. Oh, my, TBS Night. So we didn't have MTV, so we had to watch music videos on fucking TBS. It was called TBS Night Tracks. I used to think I had a fever dream and dreamt that shit. I was 4 years old. I remember watching Duran Duran at my grandma's house.
On TBS?
Yeah, exactly. But God bless the internet for you could figure out what was real and what you imagined. But that actually happened.
God, yeah, and I just didn't have any of that. It was like I've said before, we had PBS, CBS, and NBC, and you could get fucked if that's not what you were into. And
you'd only hear about it on Sunday when the priest railed against it in his sermon. I know we got a boys wrestling Tripp and Bismarck. Make sure they have their blinders on. We don't want them to watch the Beavis and the Butthead.
There was the one time a year you would be able to stay in a hotel on a school trip, an FFA trip of some sort, just binge on Oh, Sports Center. Like, just watching...
Oh, my God.
Wait, you mean the whole show is the last 5 minutes of the local news where they talk about sports? That's amazing.
Oh, my, to watch highlights of a team that wasn't based out of Minnesota was so revolutionary. Like, yes, indeed, I'm going to stay up another hour so I can watch the San Diego Padres lose a nail biter.
Yeah,
that sounds amazing.
I remember being in a hotel at a relatively young age. I don't remember. I know I was with my folks, but I don't know what for. It was probably a cattle show or an ag show of some sort, and we're in Bismarck in a hotel, and we got to order pizza from Pizza Hut, which, first off, that's the best day ever.
Yep.
And then while one of my parents was in the bathroom and the other one was answering the door for the pizza guy, I took that opportunity to get a hold of the remote. And I remember landing on MTV, and it was Marilyn Manson's Sweet Dreams video, and blew my mind. I was like, what is even happening right now? He's got a top hat. He's riding this pig. I don't know who this scary man is, but I know that I get pizza and this, and they're coming back. Change it back. You know,
your mom grabs the TV and hammer tosses it out the window. Just those mom radar, like, I don't like this guy.
I don't think there was, I don't think I've ever switched back to CMT faster. But it was just like, oh man, I absorbed 4 seconds of whoever this skinny man is, and I know that this isn't something I should be doing. So let me get off it.
My parents were pretty laissez-faire about my musical taste, but when I was like 17, my mom tried to have a really awkward talk to me about Marilyn Manson, and it was really weird, really tense. I'm sure I lied a bunch, but I always knew that I was safe because it was never going to be a united front. Because in my dad's head, it's all noise. Like, to my dad, there was no difference between like Hootie and the Blowfish and Cannibal Corpse. So like, she would not be able to convince him that this man is a real threat, because in his head, it's all just noise. Like,
right. It's all trash. It doesn't. Yeah.
Just din.
I can vaguely remember a couple of Marilyn Manson and Rob Zombie talks being had with my mother of why that's not the thing to be listening to. But
you're a goddamn rocker.
Here I am. I'm 35. I love both those bands. I saw both of them in concert last year. So yeah, I continued being a rebel.
Man, yeah. I think I went to that same show, and I was relatively and happily surprised by the lack of gross fart smells. Because that's what I've learned. If you go to any 90s burrito rock arena show, everyone has dysentery. It just smells. And it's not like they have, it stinks like BO, obviously, but there's also this pungent human waste smell. It's like, you guys gotta take better. I mean, who am I to talk? But please, what is wrong? What are you eating? Like, I think there's people that don't know that pizza rolls are supposed to be cooked. Like, it just like pop them like everlasting gobstoppers. Like, just let their mouths heat, liquefy.
Jesus Christ!
Ooh, these are actually breaded shrimp. Must have been in a hurry at the Circle K. My friend that I was with, he called it it was a veritable sea of untoned thighs. There's a lot of very misshapen thighs. And as a man that has lumpy thighs, I felt at home. I was like, this is my tribe.
Ah, my people. We have found my sandbag-legged people.
Oh, goodness. Well, episode 14, Principal Charming. Selma, who her thighs may also be in some state of disrepair. Selma is kind of getting to that age where she's feeling kind of lonesome and seeing her life slip by, so she decides to beg Marge to help her find a husband, and Marge, apparently not realizing who she has married, decides to get Homer in on it and have kind of guilt Homer into finding a life mate for Selma, which is awesome because Homer's not only dumb, he's a bad person.
Right. That's the guy you want looking. Yeah,
judging character for you. Oh, man. And while that's going on, Bart gets in trouble in school for a typical Bart shenanigan. And one thing I got to mention, while Bart is in the process of being punished, he's waiting in the principal's office, he takes the phone and makes a prank call while in the principal's office.
Yeah.
That's a fucking boss move.
That's bold.
That's a level of juvenile delinquency you don't see reach too often.
And much like all these crank calls turn out to do, they bring out the murderer in Mo again, yes, like they always do.
That guy, I hope he is on a very reliable blood pressure med, because that guy, he's got a short fuse.
I hope someone is keeping him leashed. That man will kill again.
And due to some kind of zany mishap, Selma is at home, and Mr. Skinner also has to go to the Simpson home, and he meets Selma, and sparks fly. And I am making a mistake here. Selma wants to be set up, but he is smitten for Patty.
He takes the swerve, and he's super into Patty, who kind of wants nothing to do with him. And Selma, the one who initiated all this, is on the sideline being bummed.
Yeah, Patty wants to die in a cramped apartment with Selma, with her ankle deep in cigarette butts. That's how she wants to go.
Old newspapers stacked up in every corner.
Gonna go all Grey Garden style. Just her and her sister in their hoarder-ass apartment. Dying from neglect.
There's a scene before all this when Homer is like, he's kind of walking around and he has Terminator vision, and he's picking out a man for Patty, and they're all coming up pros and cons lists. At one point, he aims that at Apu because he's at the Quickie Mart, and I forget I think it's Has Dangerous Job is Apu's big con. But the reason he's there is because he's ordering a seafood burrito, which I am not above gas station food. I don't want you to think that. I will eat gas station food anytime, anywhere. But I feel like a gas station seafood burrito is below my decency level.
I might tap out on that one myself.
Yeah, even I cannot handle a gas station seafood burrito.
I do also like when Homer's kind of in the matchmaking mode, and he sets his sights on Principal Skinner, and he's kind of just trying to feel him out and ask him some questions. And he finally asks Skinner if he likes women, and Skinner's response is, "These pants come off at night just like anybody else's." What fuck does that mean?
I don't know how that's an answer, Skinner.
I don't get what he's trying to imply there. But again, Homer, a simpleton, he's all right. I accept that.
Sure thing. Okay. That was I feel like that was a deflection.
So again, Skinner and Selma, it doesn't work out because Skinner falls head over heels for Patty, who dislikes the idea of Skinner or marriage or happiness, but almost just, I don't know, it's almost as an out of boredom, do you think? Or she likes being able to be super negative, and Skinner can reflect on that. And Skinner, again, he's so eager to please, he feeds into that for her. So he gives her that outlet where she can talk shit about everything and everyone.
Yeah, they kind of bond over their just generalized negativity and pessimism about everything. Like at one point after the first date, I forget which of them, but one of them even says, "Isn't it nice that we hate the same things?" I'm like, what a thing to build a relationship on.
Yeah, exactly. No kidding, yeah.
Mutual hatred of the same topics.
And I love, too, when the two sisters have to get dressed up. Like the outfits that they choose for date nights. Like, gotta ask, did Aunt Selma's very ample cleavage do anything for you?
I sat up and paid attention for sure. I was like, wait, what is happening here?
It wasn't quite, if we're going sub-sandwich measurements, it wasn't quite a $5 footlong. But it was a full Jimmy John's. It was like a sandwich could rest pleasantly in that bosom.
Yeah, she's all dolled up because Homer set her up with a Barney as like a backup.
And I was at this. Oh, I forgot that was a Barney day. And she's out. She looks like she's like a late '90s professional wrestling valet. Just like just the most outrageous outfit. It's goddamn Barney.
Yeah.
I was this close to Google. It's like someone's had to have made Patty and Selma porn, but it's like, nope. Don't need that in my search.
You don't need that on your search history.
I don't need that. I just don't need it personally, Like when you go that way, you can never come back to quote Confederate Railroad.
known dispensers of knowledge and wisdom, Confederate Railroad.
Yeah. And forgettable early 90s hits. I mean, not forgettable for me, but for the rest of civilization.
For the rest of us, yeah. You're not the barometer to use for what's a forgettable 90s hit.
Exactly. I'm not a objective observer. I am very emotionally attached to that music. So then, I think Patty finally kind of has a moment of clarity and realizes how much it's hurting Selma that she has found love with the guy that Selma was head over heels for. So they go up to like a clock tower or a bell tower, and Patty lets Principal Skinner know that he can't or she can't be his because, she couldn't live with herself if Selma wasn't happy. And during all this time, Bart was living like he was like a made man. Like he had bought off the law and he ran the school. And
because this whole time Skinner has gone soft completely.
Yeah, exactly.
Like there's a couple clips of the school and the inmates have taken over the asylum in a big bad way.
And now he's going to take out his loveless rage on Bart Simpson and his 9-year-old friends.
And they show him making Bart help replant the grass, which he had killed earlier with a chemical.
With Groundskeeper
Willie there, which I think is the first episode that I've seen.
Yeah, at least the first that he's featured prominently, definitely.
Yeah, definitely the first when he speaks, when he opens that Scottish mug of his.
Yeah. So things are back to the way they should be. Selma and Patty are loveless and horrible people. Principal Skinner is sexually frustrated and sad, and Bart is still suffering for his shenanigans, as he should. We need a moral lesson at the end of these episodes.
Yeah, we humanized Patty and Selma a bit because we don't really get much out of them other than just kind of generalized scowling every so often, and a fair bit of Principal Skinner. This episode also aired on Valentine's Day in 1991, so this was a little Valentine's Day episode.
Well, there we go.
Next up on the docket is episode 15, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?, which right off the bat is my favorite Coen Brothers movie. Pretty easily, actually.
No kidding. It's high up there for me. I'd have to probably put, man, there's so many now. I'm trying to think what I would choose as my favorite. It would probably be No Country for Old Men, but
that's
I
up
love
there.
Barton Fink.
Barton Fink, interesting.
Yeah, I would say it was Barton Fink until No Country came out.
Yeah. No Country is real good.
Yeah.
The music and everything. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Is fucking great. This episode I really liked. By the way, before we off the top, this was a hot one. Grandpa Simpson and his buddy Jasper are at the movies watching a McBain film with their surrogate Schwarzenegger, who I think we learn that actor's name later, but I don't know it off the top of my head.
I think we're going to see a lot of McBain as we go through the series, and I'm not complaining. Like, I miss that type of movie, like the just ultra violent, which is a giant muscular man hip shooting an M16.
And just firing off one-liners.
Yep. Like shooting a man off a moving jet ski 150 yards away with a hip shot. Like, some real pedantic movie nerd out there's probably figured out what was like the tipping point where you stop seeing dumb gunplay in big budget action movies.
When they started worrying about realism on how to handle firearms.
Yeah, like
I'm not sure when it would have been
anymore. Yeah, like you watch a stupid ass like not Brock Lesnar, but Dwayne the Rock Johnson. He's going to be shooting a rifle somewhat correctly, but I think it's like right on the late '90s, early started getting shit like Black Hawk Down that looks so realistic that eventually anything else is just going to look silly. And I think they
cartoonish.
Realize like we gotta. So I'm guessing sometime in the early 2000s, we kind of saw the end of that.
Yeah, because like even now you look at like the John Wick films, which are like huge action movies, but Keanu trains for months on how to shoot accurately, you know?
Yeah.
Like he's not just Ramboing it. He's not holding a gun from the side of a helicopter looking all phallic, just spraying bullets in all over the place.
Vacant stare, but yet somehow shooting people on a dead run.
Yeah.
Never having to load the gun the entire movie.
I thought it was a strange combination, this McBain movie, because it was like, it's clearly a big dumb Schwarzenegger one-liner action movie, but then has James Bond credits at the end.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I love the Bond movies, so those credit sequences are always big highlights.
Want to hear a white hot take, Marlin?
Okay,
I
always.
have not seen a Bond movie that didn't star Daniel Craig. I missed like the first, 37 Bond movies? Then I saw Casino Royale and really enjoyed it.
I think you, knowing you, I think you would enjoy the Brosnan films.
And I've seen bits and pieces. When I was a kid, they were on basic cable chunks. I remember seeing bits of Octopus, saying like, hoo, I know that's a bad word.
Hey-oh, yeah.
Look at this.
You're like Bart with hell in the last episode.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like the Bond movies. I think even the early ones that are super cheesy now are cheesy in a good way.
Oh, sure.
Other than the Michael Moore films, or not Michael Moore, Michael...
that is a bold casting choice.
The Roger Moore films.
We should cast a James Bond that doesn't get winded putting on his dinner jacket. Oh, give me a second.
I need to tell you the truth about the auto manufacturers. Oh, God.
They make the spark plugs in El Salvador.
Those Columbine kids, he's just sweating.
Bought their bullets at Kmart.
It's a cultural problem. Oh, shit. Well, someone make that movie poster.
Yeah,
I want to see a James Bond, Michael Moore film. But the two old men really hate McBain, and they're complaining about it to the teenage movie attendant who could not give a fuck at all. And Grandpa has a heart attack during the ordeal, and the family goes to visit him in the hospital, and Grandpa asks to speak to Homer alone for a moment, and lets him know that he has a half brother out there. Homer does. And regales him with the tale of how that came to be, where he was at the carnival as a young man and cheated on Homer's mom with a carny, which fantastic already.
Mm-hmm. Oh, applaud that, absolutely.
He as he puts it, I have this quote written down: "She did things your mother would never do, like have sex for money." Fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, that led to the birth of Homer's half brother, and he was given to an adoption or an orphanage at the time. Not a word we use anymore, I don't think. And he tells him, "Hey, it's out there now. You do with that what you will." And Homer decides he's going to find his long-lost half-brother. He goes to the address of the Shelbyville orphanage and has a great moment where now it's a gas station. The guy's like, "They tore it down years ago." And Homer has his drop to his knees, scream at the sky moment, and then the gas station attendant is like, "Yeah, but they rebuilt it right across the street. It's right there."
And doesn't he shout out, "Oh, brother, where art thou?"
He does,
point?
yeah. He shouts the line there.
Marlin, he was certainly in some constant sorrow, wasn't he?
Hey-oh.
Oh boy, that's a good one.
Man.
That's the stuff right
How
there.
droll.
There it is.
And he goes over there and gets a hot tip that his brother is in Detroit and named Herbert, and he starts calling the phone book, gets out the phone book and calls all the H Powells is the last name, and finally gets a hold of him, and we, the audience, learn that Herbert Powell is a man of some influence.
Automobile mogul? Would you say is mogul the right word there?
Yeah, that's a good use of mogul. He lives in a mansion. He's the head of Powell Motor Company. He makes cars. He's an extremely rich individual, and voiced by a motherfucking Danny DeVito.
American treasure, Danny DeVito.
He really is. I love Danny DeVito.
Yeah, I could see you being a Powell man. Driving a quality American sedan, as you know that I love.
You really do.
I think think we're a couple of Powell men sitting here discussing this episode right now.
Oh, for sure.
And I have a strong affinity for owning cars from companies that no longer exist. I'm currently a proud Mercury owner. I drove a Pontiac for over a decade. I would jump in a Plymouth if they made anything remotely worth driving since they canceled the Roadrunner in 73.
You would have no problem hopping into a nice AMC product, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. I would own a Gremlin and a Pacer. I need both subcompacts in my life. I had a buddy that had to be one of the last Plymouths ever made. It was like a 1999 Plymouth Breeze. That was for people that couldn't quite afford a Dodge Neon. So they have to go with the sister car, the Plymouth Breeze. And someone kicked a window out of it, and all of his possessions were in that car. They rifled through everything and didn't take one thing. So he just came out to a rain-logged Plymouth Breeze. What a way to turn 30.
God. My great-grandmother, who was in her 90s when I was a kid, had a Plymouth Fury 3. Just fucking tank.
Yeah, roughly 2.5 miles per gallon, I bet.
Yep. Just
enough milk jugs full of gas to make it into
town. in sea green, like,
oh my goodness,
like the same color that stoves used to be in the 70s.
Yeah, that is a very good description of that. All of the appliances in our trailer were that color.
Just that sickly green. Ugh.
Yeah.
But boy, did I think that thing was cool.
And just like the Plymouth Motor Company, Powell Motor Company is rudderless and needs some direction.
Yep, they're just cranking out cars. They're very reactionary. They're essentially just making cars for here's what we think people want. But then Homer shows up and Herb is going to give him a car, and Homer's like, well, I don't really want any of these cars, and Herb realizes that he has an everyman right here in his pocket that they can build the car for the average man, and he's going to let Homer design it. And Homer is just giving these guys advice, giving these engineers who are much smarter than him advice on how to build a car, and they are begrudgingly going along with it because Powell has told them just whatever Homer wants. And it's things like, I need a cup holder that'll hold a Big Gulp, or whatever their term for Big Gulp at the Quickie Mart is. And he shows it's got to be like this big, and it looks like a chicken tub. Just massive cup holders. He wants tail fins because those never go out of style, which frankly I will agree with.
Oh yeah, same here.
He wants 3 horns, and they all play La Cucaracha.
Again, I would not complain.
His reasoning being, you can never find a horn when you're angry. I've never once thought, shit, where's the horn?
Yeah, exactly. I've never turned my windshield wipers on in a rage. Oh, that's not the horn. Where could it be? If only it was in the middle of the steering wheel.
Oh, damn it. I flipped on my hazards trying to let that guy I didn't appreciate his driving.
Just turned off my ABS.
Yeah, not a problem I've ever had.
I could show them my rage.
He also wants bubble domes instead of a cab, a separate bubble dome for the kids so they don't bother you. They just slap this car together, and they have Herb Powell making a big presentation to the stockholders and the public, the car of the 90s, the Powell Homer, and it's unveiled. And it's funny because it's this is a fucking cartoon, so you're able to be like, yeah, of course Powell had never seen the car before that very moment and was then appalled.
He would put a multi-billion-dollar company on the line for his dipshit half-brother that he met days ago.
Yep. And Powell Motor Companies is ruined thanks to Homer's car, and Herbert Powell is pissed at Homer and leaves on a bus, dejected. And Lisa wraps it up real nicely with this quote, his life was unbridled success until he found out he's a Simpson. Yeah.
And then Grandpa shows up thinking he's going to cash in on having a rich...
He's going to get on them coattails. Where's that rich son of mine? And Homer has to be like, yeah, we blew that. So...
Day late, $1 short, Gramps. Episode 16, Bart's dog gets an F.
A throwback to Bart gets an F earlier this season. And kind of follows the same trajectory.
Totally,
It's kind of the same episode, but the dog this time.
Yeah, and oh my God, Santa's Little Helper is the worst dog on the planet.
He's awful.
And like, just the worst, just unrepentantly shitty, just doing the shittiest things all the time.
Yeah.
And Homer finally gets fed up, and that's kind of the storyline is it's like, hey, you get that dog in obedience school, and it figures its shit out, or we're getting rid of that goddamn dog because it's ruining our family. It's like it's the smartest dog ever because it can figure out the worst thing to do at any given moment. Like, just endless how terrible that dog is. Like,
yeah, it destroys everything. It doesn't listen to anyone.
Yeah, and even Marge is on Homer's side. It's like, yeah, this dog is the worst fucking thing ever. Like, we're going to leave your father and you kids if we don't get rid of this dog. I can't handle the stress.
I can't do it.
And one thing I love during this is while this is going on, Lisa gets sick and has to miss school because she gets the mumps.
Yeah.
The mumps, like, this is the 1990s or the 1890s? Who the hell's getting the mumps?
Yeah, are the mumps still a thing? I don't think so.
I think this brings up a more troubling subplot. We're the Simpsons anti-vaxxers, Marlin. I'm pretty sure you get a mumps and rubella and something else shot when
Measles,
you're a kid
yeah, the
nowadays.
MMR, measles, mumps, and rubella.
Yeah.
They missed that shot, apparently.
Yeah. And Homer has a kick-ass union job. It's not like he doesn't have health insurance. Like, he fucking tits deep in vaccines. They're taking shit they don't need.
Malaria vaccine, sure.
Yeah, why not? 2 for each of the kids. 1 for the pets. Let's do it. You're telling me they've cured typhoid? We can't be too sure. Line them up.
Like they're doing shots.
Smallpox, large pox, and medium pox. Can never be too careful.
I don't think people get the mumps anymore. I don't think they got the mumps in the 90s either.
Yeah, just all swollen up as the mumps will do to a young child.
Yeah, got them cheeks all puffed up.
So she's at home miserable, and Santa's Little Helper's at the Obedience Center miserable because it's ran by a tyrant middle-aged British lady who is a big fan of choke chains.
Yep.
Gotta say, they try to really paint her in a bad light, but you know what? Santa's Little Helper, the worst dog ever. That dog needs a little discipline.
Yeah, he could use a tug on the chain for sure.
Yeah, my God,
like,
it just never ends.
You don't train a good dog by coddling them, but
yeah.
And Tracy Ullman, by the way, is the voice of that obedience school teacher.
Oh, fascinating! I did not know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
Looked that one up. I was like, this seems like a role they would have given to a mid-level celebrity. Yep, Tracy Ullman.
And they kind of owe her for the show too. That's where they got their first chance at breaking it out. Yeah. One thing too, in this episode we have a unique thing where we actually see the world through Santa's Little Helper's eyes. We see like his vision, and reminded me a lot of the Predator.
Yeah, it's all like different shades of gray because dogs don't see color, and then everyone's voices are just like Charlie Brown's teacher. Yeah, because he can't understand what they're saying.
And then and then he can't figure, and the worst, dopiest looking dogs in the obedience school, they're figuring things out fine. Santa's Little Helper is doing the worst ever. He's the worst dog ever. He should get a goddamn fucking hat that says that, because he is the worst dog ever.
Yeah, and the shit that he's pulling at home, like he destroys their family quilt, and he destroys... Yep. Like
that's what pushes Marge over the edge, yeah.
Yeah, anything he can get his jaws on, he just shreds. Like Homer earlier in the episode sees Flanders sporting some new kicks, some some sweet ass sneakers. And I don't know. So this is the second time now that we've seen Flanders with like really nice shit. We saw that rumpus room earlier that was decked to the nines, and now he's got these badass kicks. What does Flanders do for a living?
Yeah, it's just, and I think it's another example too. Like Ned is just like, hey, Homer, happy to see you. You know, oh, you like my shoes? You know, sometimes you got to just treat yourself. I really enjoy them. Well, have a good day. And Homer is just like, fuck
He's
that.
mad. Yep.
He's just yet another. Homer is just a fucking petty, vile ghoul of a human being. Just the absolute worst.
Yeah, Flanders is just living his life. He just has
Let
nice.
him have some sneakers. Jesus Christ.
He doesn't need your permission to buy nice things. Fuck off.
Oh God, endless. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess we do get I think he maybe has to be browbeaten into doing it. But at one point, Homer goes to buy Lisa some magazines.
Yeah.
Because, you know, she's bedridden, and before the internet, that's what you did. You read things made out of
In
paper,
magazines.
trees.
Yep, some nice gloss.
Yeah. And the magazine selections, if you were able to push pause during this, the best of the best was Martin Sheen's Teen Scene. I will subscribe tonight to Martin Sheen's Teen Scene. I want to hear Martin Sheen's take on young boy celebrities. Which ones he thinks are hunkiest. Another favorite, non-threatening boys.
That was mine. That was my favorite on the rack. Non-threatening boys.
It sounds like a church. Like you get a free subscription during confirmation, like for those 2 years. Like, did you go to Catholic confirmation?
Yeah. Yeah.
See,
I did.
Lutheran ride or die.
Oh man, you people.
Yeah, the boys got a subscription to Breakaway magazine, and girls got a subscription to Brio magazine. They're like kind of like teen-centric magazines that were just about as exciting as a bowl of sugarless malto meal, just sludge. They had like warnings, like, "Hey, you know, you shouldn't listen to this," and it was every relevant band ever. It's like this is,
it's just,
and they had like,
that just makes it a good list of shit to go
exactly.
buy.
Oh, here's what I should be listening to. Yeah, it was just the most. It's
man,
like,
we didn't get any magazines over on the Catholic side. We took 2 years of confirmation classes and didn't get shit.
They clobber the guilt into you guys at such a young age. They don't need to have a magazine to make you feel bad.
Yeah, you have no idea. Woof. Yeah. I remember from the Sunday school days being in elementary and being like, the world is bad because of you personally and the things that you think and do, and being like, well, okay, Jesus, that's heavy. My favorite memory of confirmation classes. So we're, I think, 15 and 16 were the 2 years you took confirmation, if I'm remembering right. But it's around in there. But I distinctly remember being in confirmation class, and they showed us a video, like the classic roll in the TV to the classroom shtick, and they put in a VHS tape that had been put out by the church, and it was about the horrors and evils of the band Gwar. And that was the whole video. It was like an hour-long documentary where they have tour footage and they have interviews with the band. It's this whole documentary. And I remember being not 5 minutes into that video and being like, holy shit, this is amazing. Yeah. And they made a Gwar fan out of a very rural southern North Dakota guy at 15 years old. I was like, this is the best shit.
Oh my god, any kind of like video like that, it's always so fucking tone deaf. It's like, it's not like Gwar is the Rolling Stones. It's not like girls are just clamoring for Gwar. You know, it's like Gwar appeals to 0.05% of the teenage, and they're gonna go for Gwar regardless. It's in their DNA.
But I probably would have went another 10 years without even knowing who Gwar even was. But instead, you made a huge fan at 15 years old. I was out there buying Gwar CDs like that weekend.
I bet you were just baffled that there wasn't like a huge end display of Gwar CDs at the local Target. Like,
I went to the Kirkwood Mall in Bismarck, North Dakota, down to the Sam Goody, and was like, "Oh, they have one Gwar CD here."
Thought there'd be a video on a loop of a Gwar retrospective.
I was told they were the main threat to Christianity, and you guys only have one of their albums. Yeah. Oh man, they were hell bent on, like, no, this is what evil looks like. It's like, we're not watching Holocaust footage. Relax.
Yeah, exactly. These guys are goofballs.
Like, they're spraying fake blood into an audience, and they have a big animatronic worm penis that eats people out of the crowd. Jesus, relax.
I think we both know that. There's no way Gwar would make it into an issue of non-threatening boys.
Nope, Odin Sarungus may be the most threatening boy.
Yeah, that's very true. And were you a big magazine kid, or are you just young enough that wasn't a big part of your adolescence?
I would read Sports Illustrated. And then later in life, like I'm in my 80s, recounting my last 10
my
years
children
on this planet.
moved out.
Yeah, once the nest was empty, I needed some magazines. But later in high school, I was reading like Circus and Metal Edge, like music magazines.
Sure. Yeah.
How about you? Other than your nice Lutheran magazines.
Yeah. Oh, well, Boy's Life, which has been discussed from previous podcasts. But
yeah.
I had SI for kids. Then I got Sports Illustrated like a big boy. And I remember when I was like 6, I got a subscription to the Masters of the Universe magazine. It wasn't a comic book. It was a magazine about an action figure. Like
He-Man?
What were the article? Yeah, He-Man. A He-Man magazine every month. I would be so happy when it came. I didn't even think I could read yet. But, like, I'd love to know, what was it about?
I was about to say, what was the content?
It's like, are you getting the most out of your mechanic? 8 tips and tricks.
In this week's Manny Faces shows you his favorite bread recipes.
Exactly. Or how to repair a merman if your sister falls on it when you're riding bikes.
How to care for your battle cat.
I Merman was my first He-Man guy, and when he broke, it was like losing a loved one. And I tried to fix, because the legs are held together with a rubber band, so when that breaks, it's over. And I couldn't handle loss, Marlin. I wasn't emotionally ready, so I tried to fix it with Scotch tape. So it looked like Merman was wearing a giant see-through diaper, which was poorly applied because I was 4 years old and probably sobbing the entire time I was doing it. So I would try to play with him and his legs would just fall off.
I can see you trying to tape up Merman like a doctor as the flat line is going. Just won't give up on the paddles. Just Claire, come on. Don't you die on me.
Not today, Merman.
Not like this, Merman.
And when I'd get a new He-Man guy, too, they, like, right away for, like, the first week, they were the belle of the ball. And they would, like, if I was eating Fruit Loops, they got their head dunked in the Fruit Loops. Because I got to share. You get Fruit Loops, Whiplash has got get a little bit. Whiplash deserves some. But then, that apple loses its luster, loses its shine. It gets thrown in with the rest of the He-Men, who all smell like sour milk. Because they got their heads dunked in. Yeah, it's like, Jesus, these guys smell like shit. Take care of yourselves, you goddamn losers.
Clean your ass, He-Man. What the hell?
Look at Snout Spout here. He's clean and pristine. He doesn't smell like sour milk. You want to go enjoy some Cocoa Puffs
tomorrow? Yeah. I was all my action figures I can like remember playing with, but I don't remember ever doing anything dumb with them. I was never dunking the turtles into milk or anything.
Oh, really?
And I was
Like,
never one for like blowing them up with firecrackers or any of that.
Yeah, that was
either.
too destructive for me too, because it's like they didn't come around a whole lot, so you took advantage. But I got into them so young, I was still into like chewing on shit. So I was probably like 2 when I was like, there's probably like very clear warnings on the packaging. Like,
to not put this shit in your mouth.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I was getting it, and I was I would chew the hand so bad that when I got older, I'd be like, God damn it, they can't even hold their weapons because someone's been mauling these hands up so damn bad.
I definitely had a rock steady with a missing hand, so he could have the gun or the shield, but not that poor amputee rhinoceros mutant couldn't have both.
And then as the episode goes on, Santa's little helper just is still the worst, and they finally tell him, hey, this dog cannot be saved. Again, worst dog ever. I mean, maybe you take some kind of solace in that, but we're not going to train this dog for you. So, and Homer kind of stands his ground. Say, hey, we're getting rid of this. So there's kind of an emotional, like where Bart knows he has one last night to kind of spend with Santa's little helper. And they kind of do some stuff, and Lisa has a talk with them. And then miraculously, through all of that, through the emotion that Bart's emitting, Santa's little helper can finally understand a goddamn word he's saying. So they had a last-second buzzer beater shot at the obedience school to get him a passing grade, and he's let back into the house. I think Lisa's mumps, she might still have him. They might have went away. We'll have to see the next episode.
It's much like the Bart Gets an F episode. It's like an emotional ending to the show, and then it turns out he did learn something, and credits.
I got one thing to add on this, and maybe you as someone who grew up out in the country will agree. All of this could have been saved if that goddamn dog lived outside. That's an outside dog. That dog shouldn't be in your house.
Also, if we remember origin stories properly, the dog's a former racing dog. Like, that's not one for the house. Like, you got to let that dog out.
To stretch them legs.
That dog has too much energy and has probably been through a lot of abuse in his day.
Yeah. It doesn't want to spend 18 hours a day curled up in front of the couch.
Yeah. But yeah, that I don't know. I had a real kind of meh reaction to that episode.
We're so far beyond the real rough stuff of season 1 that every episode now is like not bad. They're all like, oh, that's a fine episode, but yeah, that didn't perk my antenna up too much. It's like, oh, yep, that was an acceptable episode. On to the next.
Yeah, which is Old Money. This one I also really like. This one, very Grandpa-heavy episode. We're at the retirement home. The Simpsons are dropping Grandpa off from their kind of once monthly have a day with Grandpa. And Grandpa is getting his pills and meets Bee, who is another elderly woman staying in the retirement home. And they hit it off immediately. I don't know that I have ever moved as fast as Abe Simpson moves.
Yeah, and I don't know if I ever need to hear the sound effect that they used for Grandpa Simpson tongue slamming his medications. Go rewatch that sometimes.
That scene was really something. Like they're sitting at the table, like erotically taking their pills is the only way I can.
I don't know if I want to know what the Foley guy did to replicate that noise.
They're like twisting open a capsule and spreading it on your tongue real sexy and that scene went on for a while. I was like, this is uncomfortable, guys. What are we doing here?
And I'm all about old people getting weird. God bless them.
Oh,
Rip
for
it up,
sure. Absolutely.
Have the time of your life, but I don't need the sounds. That was a little too much for me. Maybe it just wasn't emotionally ready for it.
Oh, now you want the visual but not the audio when it comes to old people tongue action.
Yeah. Get a few Bud Lights into me, loosen things up. I could maybe be into that. Maybe I'd want to be at the table. Let's see. The night's young.
But as of now, no septuagenarian tongues for Nathan Folselbach. Yeah. But they, after that weird sign, like they're hitting it off. They clearly are into each other right away. They show them at a dance where we see our favorite band having a bit of a mix-up in names, I guess, because they're no longer the Larry Davis Experience. They're Larry Davis Dance Kings at the elderly dance.
One thing that can be said about Larry Davis, the man knows how to ride a trend.
Yep.
He saw elderly big band music is going to be big in 91.
Yeah.
He revamped everything. That's why he's got staying power.
Way ahead of Brian Setzer.
Yeah, exactly. And Cherry Poppin' Daddies and Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. And
Jump Jive and Wail
like.
would not happen for nearly a decade at this point.
Yeah. A visionary, a pioneer, that Larry Davis.
Grandpa is smitten, and B has a birthday coming up. B, by the way, is played by Audrey Meadows from The Honeymooners.
Oh, fascinating.
Late in her life. Grandpa wants to get her a nice birthday present, so he gets her a shawl, and they're going to have a birthday party. But then Homer shows up and ruins everything, because it's The Simpsons. And throws Grandpa in the car, and they're going to go on this discount African safari. And
Discount Lion Safari.
And they're
terrific name.
They're driving around the park, and like everyone's like, "This sucks." All the animals are sleeping, whatever. Homer's not paying attention where he's going, and of course strands the family amongst a pride of lions who are all scratching and trying to get into the car. They end up having to stay the night there until they're rescued the following day. And then,
and I love that during the whole family outing, Grandpa Simpson's dressed to the nines because it was date night for him, but Homer interrupted it. So he's rocking a goddamn bolo tie like a G, as always, looking sharp, and he's stuck with his dopey ass family, trapped, and lions are trying to kill him, and all he wants to do is meet his special lady. Goddamn Homer, being the goddamn oaf that he is, ruins everything.
Dragged me away from that. Now I gotta hang out with you assholes. But they're rescued from the lions, and they take Grandpa Simpson back to the old folks' home. And as he's getting there, he says, kind of out loud to himself, "Well, I've got a date with an angel." And Jasper, standing next to him, overhears and says, "Boy, you don't know how right you are." And I laughed. I was like, that is a slam dunk of a joke. Holy shit. Just perfect. But I was not expecting what transpired here. My note literally says, "Oh, fuck, B died."
Yeah.
I was not expecting that. I was like, oh, I never knew Grandpa had a girlfriend in these earlier episodes. Huh, I'll be damned. Cool, she'll be around. No, dead halfway through this episode.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that gets a little heavy at times. And I mean, they do it pitch perfectly. But yeah, this is it's a special evening with The Simpsons. And you deal with some very heavy topics.
Yeah. And stick the landing all around, I think. I think this is a great episode. But Grandpa's pissed at Homer, obviously, for pulling him away from his nice evening with his now deceased lady friend. Our boy Lionel Hutz shows up, the shyster lawyer Phil Hartman voices. He shows up because B has left Grandpa Simpson $106,000 in her will to do what he pleases and to make himself happy. So he takes off to the military surplus store and buys a fez, and then starts going on all manner of adventures. He goes to like a Disneyland, and I don't know if you paused it or not, but the amusement park is called Diz, D-I-Z apostrophe knee apostrophe land, Disneyland. And then there's a huge disclaimer underneath, not associated with Disney, the Disney Corporation, Walt Disneyland, anything like that. And it's funny to me because we're watching these on Disney Plus.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, How things can change.
How times change, yeah. Hasbro owns Death Row Records, so
Yeah.
corporations, the way corporations go in America is real weird. But none of this is making him happy, and while he's on the roller coaster, the ghost of B shows up and kind of gives him a little pep talk, and he decides he's gonna give the money to somebody who needs it, and like a fucking game show, he's gonna just take applications from people one by one.
Yeah.
which leads to a real good series of people pitching their ideas for why they need $100,000. Like, Otto wants to deck out the bus.
Yeah.
Dr. Monroe wants to, like, build an isolation chamber and buy a baby and put in it and see what it looks like after 30 years.
It's very creepy.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones. We see, I don't know that we've seen him before, but the real nerdy scientist wants to make a death ray gun. Abe Simpson, he's not having it. He doesn't like any of these ideas. He wants to give it to the people out on the streets, which I believe was Lisa's idea.
About Lisa, too, I love the nice touch of the Lisa character is, so often she's this wise beyond her years, world weary, like she's like a 48-year-old in an 8-year-old's body. But I love how that all goes away when ponies are brought up. God damn it, Lisa loves ponies. All of Lisa's, like, her generosity and her very modern worldview go out the window if a pony is promised.
Yep. Yeah, like you said, she's very much played as an adult all the time, except for this one bit. Abe takes the money to the casino so he can make more money and have more money to give to people, and is like on a hot streak at the roulette table for a bit. And then just as it's about to go bad, Homer shows up and stops him. And he decides in the end, Abe does, to put the money back into the homeless, the old folks' home, so they can live a little better. Because as you see throughout the episode, that place is a shithole.
Yeah.
My favorite example, like, they show, like, leaky roofs and cracked plaster and that kind of thing. But at one point when they're walking through the recreational room, the billiard table has no pockets on it. So when you hit a ball into the pocket, it just falls on the floor.
It just rolls.
That was my favorite example of that place being shitty. But yeah, he puts the money into the home and spruces it up, so everyone's able to enjoy their time there. Good episode, good heartfelt one to end on.
Yeah,
I really didn't.
A high note to end this podcast on.
Yeah, for sure. I really didn't see that they were going to kill off B halfway through this episode. Yeah. I was legit taken aback. I was like, "Oh fuck, what is happening right now?"
That was some Game of Thrones shit. killing off characters we're just starting to get the feels for.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Yeah, playing with our heartstrings.
That'll be this episode in the bag.
Yeah, that was fun.
We're cooking along.
Talking Simpsons, talking basketball shorts. We did it all.
We covered everything.
Speaking of basketball, if any journeyman of the 80s or 90s NBA is listening, we've thrown this out. Perhaps Kurt Rambis, perhaps Bo Outlaw, if you're there. Popeye Jones, please, always. Check us out on the internet if you could. We will happily respond. Be the first of your generation of NBA journeymen to be able to say you were mentioned on the America's Barley Basket podcast. It's like if you're Craig Hodges and Craig Elo beats you to it, what the fuck? There's already a Craig. You're not even the first NBA player named Craig. Like, you don't want that. You don't want the weighing you down. Like,
oh God, you can get at us if you'd like on Twitter at BarleyBasketUSA, or you can email us barleybasketUSA@gmail.com. 5 more episodes next week, Nathan. Sound good to you?
Yeah, I'm gonna put a bow on season 2.
Yeah, we will wrap up season 2 by watching episodes 18 through 22.
Have a good week, everyone.